Are you looking for inspiration on a daily basis? Well, check out Deal to Heal Teas. With our inspirational teas, you're sure to find something that will inspire you. Just go to dealtohealteas.myshopify.com. That's Deal to Heal Teas. Get some inspiration in your situation. Wear inspirational tea and be inspired all day. That's Deal to Heal Teas at dealtohealteas.myshopify.com. Hi guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you'll enjoy the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. I'm your host, Earnest James. And on my podcast, my guests and I discuss topics and ways to help us to heal in every area of our lives. I believe that everyone can and should live a life that is whole, healed, and healthy. And therefore, I'm on a mission to help people to deal, heal, and fulfill. To deal with their problems, heal from the pain, and to fulfill their purpose. So check out our podcast. We're on Google Podcasts, Spotify, or even on Audible. And if you want to watch the podcast, check us out on our YouTube channel at Deal to Heal with E. James Podcast. Until then, see you soon. Welcome to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast with E. James. We believe that the relationship between a dad and daughter is one of the most important relationships in a woman's life. Our mission is to promote the daddy-daughter relationship by spreading the voices of girl dads to the world and give love and support to all of our dads and their daughters. Let's get to it. Let's tune in. Welcome to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. I am your host, Earnest James, and I believe that the relationship between a father and a daughter is one of the most important relationships in a young woman's life. And therefore, our mission is to promote the daddy-daughter relationship by spreading the voices of girl dads to the world and to give our love and support to all our dads and their daughters. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. If you haven't already, make sure that you listen, like, subscribe, and share to our podcast on all of our social media outlets and pages. Make sure also that you subscribe to our podcast on our YouTube channel. We actually share a YouTube channel with our partner podcast, the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast. So if you go to the Deal to Heal with E. James podcast on YouTube and you subscribe to that podcast on that channel, you'll also see the playlist as for the podcast of the Girl Dad Discussions podcast there also. So make sure again that you guys are following us on all of your social media outlets and all of your podcast listening platforms. Also, I'm going to tell you guys how you can win $100 from the podcast, but you got to stay until the end of the episode in order to get that information. So make sure that you guys are tuning in for that. Next thing is our product of the week. As you guys know, we are a self-sustained podcast, and the way that we keep our bills paid and stay on top of things is by bringing you awesome products that you can purchase in order to help support the podcast. So our product of the week for this week is our ebook called From Males to Men. From Males to Men ebook. It is a male mentoring ebook for young men that is making that transition from boyhood into manhood. And you can find that at ebooksbyejames.com. Again, that's ebooksbyejames.com, where there's also other ebooks that we have there that we've written that you also can support us, including the core four, which is the core four values that every daughter should get from her father, which we always promote here on the Girl Dad Discussions podcast, because that's one of our segments. So make sure that you guys are checking that out. So today, just like any other day, we are blessed with the guest, Mr. Teron. How you doing?
I'm all right. How you doing, brother?
I am good. I'm good. First of all, let me say thank you for being here because you could have been doing anything else with anyone else, but you're here with me and my listeners. Excuse me, and we definitely appreciate it and wanted you to know that up front.
Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all.
No problem, no problem. So do me a favor,
Yep.
introduce yourself to my listeners and tell us a little bit of who you are and what it is that you do for a living.
All right. My name is Teron. I'm married to my beautiful wife, Nadia Schumper. Uh, we've been married for around 8 years. Been knowing each other for 16. You know what I mean? So shout out to my wife. We have three beautiful kids together. I have my oldest daughter. She's 5. Her name is Capri. My son, he's 2 years old. He's 2 years young. I'm sorry, he's 2 years young. My fault, young junior. And he's a junior. And then also, I have a newborn baby. She was just born in October.
All right, all right. So, what
Yeah.
is it? A little bit of something that you do for a living? I know that you also are a podcaster, but tell us
Yes.
just a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, I'm a podcaster. I'm the co-host and cousin of Legion Lineage podcast, the #1 podcast for individuals who seeking to end generational dysfunction. I am the co-founder of the Original People fashion brand, and the other co-founder, which happens to be my beautiful wife, Nadia. I'm an entrepreneur, basically. I'm also an activist of what people will call. I live in Indianapolis. I'm part of BMG. This is a group. We're a Black Man's Group. We do a lot of events and help the youth, help the elderly. We just basically help the Black community as a whole. I have done a couple of projects with my cousin, with Bloom in Indianapolis. So I'm always out here doing. I host my own event. I fed over like 300 people, I believe, with hot dogs and hamburgers. So I'm out here. We out here. Me and my
Right,
wife and
right.
everybody else that's behind me. So that's what I do. I'm a entrepreneur slash activist that's helping out the Black community, and I'm not scared to say that's who I'm helping out, and that's who I'm seeking to help out because I stand on that.
All right, all right, all right. So, for today, one of the things what we here to talk about today
Yep.
is our daughters.
Yes,
So definitely, you're a girl dad with two daughters.
yes, with two
At this
daughters.
time, two of them. So, my first question that I want to ask you is, what does it mean for you personally to be a girl dad?
Oh man, the world. Can I tell a story? We got time for a
Yeah,
story,
yeah, yeah,
man.
yeah. We got plenty of time, man.
All right, man. Before I had my daughter, I realized I was kind of harsh with the world. I was more with the world. I felt like if I had a son first, I was gonna be rough with him. I felt like I wasn't gonna give him kisses because I always felt like he got to be tough. He got to have this tough guy image. He got to be raw and cut and be ready for anything that can happen to him. And I just had this whole different mindset before I had my daughter about the world, about myself. And when I had my daughter, when I first figured out she was a girl, and she knows this, even though she's only 5 years young, she knows this. I was highly upset. I was frustrated. I was crying. I'm like, nah, man, dang, I'm about to have a girl first. You know how it is. It's like, oh man, the world. I'm thinking everything I have done. You know what I mean? I'm like, no way. I'm like, nah, man. I'm thinking like, nah, we gonna retest. We gonna see. I'm telling y'all, it's a boy. This is a mistake. So I spent the whole night crying, like really crying tears. I'm not scared to say that on here. I was crying real life tears like crocodile. I was just crying and I was just upset. And a lot of that could happen was also probably because of my wife and what everything she's been through in life. So I'm just a lot of just confusion and upset and just worry about what's going to happen when I bring this little girl to this world. And as soon as I touched her, and because she was crying, when she first came out. She was crying, and I always talked to her while she was in the womb. I always read to her, always gave her, always sang the ABCs to her, count all that such as, and let her know, hey, this is your daddy's voice. So when she was born, um, she was crying, and I went over there, and I was like, hey, it's your daddy, and she just stopped, and I picked her up, and at that moment, that's when I changed. That was when I had that girl dad experience. That's when I said, man, I want the whole world to be peaceful. I want no more drama. I want no more. I want nothing but cookies and milk for everybody. I don't want nobody to go through nothing. I don't even think the world should be even harsher no more. I'm thinking like, wow, we should stop war at this point. I'm like, man, everything should stop. So you know how it is. It was just a loving moment. She really opened up my heart and allowed me to like understand love on a different angle, on a different aspect of like learning love outside of just me and my wife, learning love, outside of my mom. That's great love, but that daughter love made me start thinking like, hey, she's gonna encounter other people in this world. So it started making me think about other people in this world more than I ever thought. Like, what? Wow, it's other people in this world that can encounter my daughter and have aspect on her and change her life in a positive or negative way. Right. I need to make sure I come out here and help this world change. So when my daughter run into these people, hopefully they good people because I've been putting out this good energy. So that was definitely my dad moment. I know that was long, but
no, you're good. We got plenty of time. We got plenty of time.
Okay, because I'm a talker, man. I'm a talker, man. Hey, if you
hey, that's why we got into this business, right? Because we like to talk. So, so question. So once you said once your daughter was born, that was kind of what made you kind of look at the world differently. Mm-hmm. So earlier you were talking about the work that you do, in the community and stuff. So were you already doing that, or was your daughter like that catalyst? Like, you know what, I'm about to get in these streets and make this change so the world can be different when she get here.
No, actually, I wasn't. I lived a totally different lifestyle approaching her life, man. I really started changing my life. I was in the streets, so I started changing my life around 2017, 2016. She was born 2017 was the last time I remember. She was born 2018, the next year. So when she was born, yeah, I actually did, but she's not the totally reason why I'm doing these programs outside, but she is definitely a part of it. She is definitely a puzzle piece because it made me, like I said earlier, it made me be like, oh, wow, she's going to encounter these young men. She's going to encounter these young women. And when she encounters them, it's going to be our people. And who's raising our people? Us. So we have to be accountable of making sure that they grow up and knowing who to be, and making sure we hold ourselves accountable, and making sure we present ourselves in a way that's a role model, or whatever word you want to use, that behaves in a such well-behaved manner to help our people keep going and floating. So so definitely, when I had her, it definitely made me be more of an activist because I wasn't out here at all. I didn't even think about it. To be honest, it wasn't until she started talking and really, I'm like, oh, okay, I need to start being out here. And I started realizing how much of being a dad was impacting her. Seeing how faster she was growing because she had a dad in her life. And a lot of people don't know that, man. A lot of people don't know that.
Right. So when your daughters were, or say both your daughters, because you have two now. Yeah. So when your daughters were born, how did you even find out that you were going to be a dad? Were you guys planning? You know what I'm saying? Or was it just like, hey, surprise? You know what I mean? Like, we're here now. You know what I mean? And I always like to ask that question because I know we all grown, so we all come from different experiences. You know what I mean? So I always like to to throw that out there. Like, how'd you even find out that, you know what I'm saying, you was about to be a dad?
Okay. Well, actually, with the first one, to be honest, me and my wife, like I said, we've been knowing each other for 16 years. So, and we've been together for about, we was on and off for those years, but we've been together for a total of about like 9, 10 years before we got married, and we've been married for 8. But we was planning on getting a baby, and her health wasn't doing right, and we just gave up on it. So one day she calls me, and she's like, she's having heart problems, and she's at work. And at the time, we only had one car. We had no kids, and we only had one car. And she was like, okay, so I'm gonna have to go to the hospital. So I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm gonna get a ride to come see you. So they said she had like a memoir or something wrong with her heart. So she calling me, and I answer the phone, and she like, yeah, nothing wrong with me. I'm okay. I'm like, oh, okay. She's like, but yeah, I gotta tell you something. You get her? I'm like, nah, just tell me, just tell me. She's like, I'm pregnant. And I just could not believe her because we've been trying for about like 2 years prior before that. And we just totally gave up and was just like, forget it. We're going to live life and just live life to the fullest. My mama, she was asking, like, when y'all going to give me a grandkid? And not knowing that my wife was in bad health, because she wasn't in bad health where you could see it. It was just, internal
Yeah,
problems,
same kind of thing.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it was like, I didn't know how to feel, and I was crying. I was like, "Is this real?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, "You gotta be kidding!" Like, no way! Like, we've been trying this whole time. Then I'm like, then at the same time, I'm like, man, now she want to come after we've been having all this fun, and we just having fun. Now you want to come? We've been having
Right.
fun on top of fun. We've been planning this. We've been planning that. We didn't forget about even having a baby. Now you want to come. So it was a two-way story with me. It was like, man, we having the baby, but hold on. We had all this going on. Now she want to come around this time. So it felt good. With my second daughter, shout out to Kepra. She came by surprise. Man, we was doing everything we thought we could do to not have another child. But hey, it happens. So she definitely was a big surprise, and we kind of knew she was pregnant because she didn't come on her period, and I just knew. I'm like, yeah, she pregnant. Because at this time, it's like, yeah, this is our third time going through this. We know what's up. This ain't
Right,
nothing new.
right.
So yeah,
So I
definitely.
so I know your new baby is new, but your other daughter is 5,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
So give me tell me about an experience that what like raising your daughter, your first daughter,
Uh,
raising her, because like I said, she the newborn is a newborn, so we know that. But your older daughter is 5, so that's a
yeah,
process in actually raising and watching her, take her first steps and begin to talk and run and
yeah.
all of that. So how was that experience with your first daughter, just kind of grooming her and watching her grow, to the little lady that she is now?
And my problem is, man, sometimes when I introduce myself, I skip a lot of stuff that I do because I do so much. I homeschool my kids at the same time I'm doing all this. Homeschool, so I actually get to see her grow, and I actually get to teach her and allow her to grow and to develop whoever she wants to be. My daughter, she's very outspoken. She's very informed. I don't really tell her this. Most people be like, man, stop asking me why. I let her ask why because asking why means she's curious.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning she's asking why because she wants to know, and so she can do something with that information. I don't know what she wants to do with that information. So to answer that question, man, it's been a process where sometimes it can be overwhelming, and then a process where it can be great because it's like the overwhelming process it gets pushed to the side because the process of her blooming it outtowers everything. It's just like wow, seeing my daughter actually being this individual at only being 5 and can spell her whole name, she can read, she can do math. She's doing so well in math. I'm like wow, I feel like I'm holding her back if I don't teach her multiplication and division at this point. And that's another thing I don't do. I never ever held her back with any of my kids. Never held her back. At the time she was born, I'm teaching her math. I just always keep it up front with her. So seeing her develop like this is like, wow, this is actually working. This technique that I'm going approaching and I'm actually developing with my daughter is working. I mean, even she even has books. She has a kid book about reproduction and about reproduction organs, and she knows how to read it. And she knows how a baby is actually made, like for real made, not no baby in a basket. She knows.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't know. She doesn't get the part for real. For real, she gets the reproduction part. You know what I mean? The
Right.
science part, where
Right.
the book, the science part. The egg and all that. Because she studies plants too. So, and plants are just about the same. So, my daughter's very educated. So seeing her develop, man, she's doing things I never. She has a character that I never thought I would see in a 5-year-old. She asked me a couple months ago when we was learning about presidents. She looked at me and said, and I think she was like 4 when she said this, and she said, "Daddy," I said, "What's up?" She said, "Oh," she said, I don't feel like I'm part of America." I said, "Why you say that?" She said, "Cause there ain't no black women on here." I said, "What?" She said, "Yeah, ain't no black women. Nah, none of these presidents is black women." I said, "Oh, dang." And I kind of felt some type of way. I said, "You right." I said, "You right. You right. Ain't none of these black women on here." I said, "It's a
Right.
problem." I said, "You right." And that's the problem she figured out at only 4. I don't never remember looking at all those presidents and was like, dang, it ain't no black presidents. I just remember looking at them and learning them and just being told who I am and being told who how to think and who to think for. So man, it's a character. Every time somebody meets her, they be like, wow, man, she's intelligent. This little girl's just amazing. I say, yeah, she is. She she likes to draw a lot. At only 5, she makes art books. Art books. And she wants to sell because she always sees me selling. She's very helpful. She already has this passion to want to help the business because I live here, like I said, I live here in Indianapolis. I used to go on fashion pop-up shops before we rebrand, and me and my daughter used to go up there, and I take her. I don't just leave her at home. I take my kids, and she watches me make sales and watches me how I interact with people, and I realized she learns that. She learned that because one day, this when she was probably like 3. She was like, yeah, daddy, let's shoot a commercial, let's shoot a reel. I was like, girl, I said, girl, you ain't ready to shoot no commercial, shoot no reel. She was like, yeah, daddy, yeah, I know what I'm gonna say. I know what I'm gonna say. I said, girl, what you gonna say? She said, yeah, the original people fashion brand got kids clothes because we just made kids clothes. And I'm like, girl, what you talking about? She's like, yeah, we gonna sell the kids clothes. And she had a real idea. And it was like, okay, even if this idea is silly, let's put this idea together and let's map it up and let her see that her processes in her brain she can actually make come happen in reality. And
Yeah.
she did that, and I have it actually. If they go on and check it out, I had that reel, and it was all her idea. And she would be at the pop-up shops with me, stopping people. Hey, stop. Hey, y'all, we the original people fashion brand. Come check us out, y'all. Come check us out. Really screaming this, like really. I'm like, this little girl is really out here putting in work. It was just
Right.
amazing seeing her do that at 3, and now seeing her at 5, coming up with ideas and actual clothing fashion designs is great.
Yeah, and I like that because one of my other guests that I had on, I
Yeah.
actually had him and his daughter on. His daughter's a little older than your daughter. She's probably 10,
Uh-huh.
but they've been working together as father and daughter in their business for a while. And
Yep.
she has like 3 books. that she wrote and put out that they sell, and sort of like yourself, I think they
Yeah.
have a clothing line. I know they have books, and then they have a whole program, excuse me, where they teach parents how to build a business with your child. You
Yep.
know, and so him and his daughter was actually on this podcast and have had that conversation about just working together and daddy and daughter and building building a business together, and
That's
it's awesome.
dope.
I'm glad that you do that
Yeah.
with your daughter. So I got two other questions before we go into the next segment, and I always ask these. So, as a father, what do
Yeah.
you think is one of your biggest accomplishments? With your daughters.
Um, allowing her to be herself. I feel like that's my biggest accomplishment. Allowing her to be herself. I have learned so much just being a parent because like I said, I homeschool. So
Mhm.
when I was first I started homeschooling her at 10 months. Believe it or not, yes, 10 months. Start homeschooling her at 10 months. And when I first took the approach, uh, I learned that she wasn't really learning anything, and I started thinking I was a bad teacher. So I looked at myself and I started saying, "Hey, we're gonna look at her and see what she likes to learn." And ever since then, um, finding out what she likes to learn and how she likes to learn and approaching it in her way and allowing her to be her has been one of the biggest developments I feel like I have done for her so far because it's allowing her to 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 really figure out who she is because most of us don't know who we are. At
Mhm.
5, she's really adapting to little things, what she likes to eat. I tell her all the time, just because daddy likes it or mama likes it or big brother likes it or anybody else, you don't have to like the food. So she's very outspoken. If she doesn't like something, she'll let you know. And so I feel like that's one thing I did good. So far, so far. They probably backhand me in 5 more years. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? Who
Right,
knows?
you be too smart. Right, look.
Yeah, yeah.
So, with that being said, my follow up question is, what is maybe one of your biggest regrets as a father? And I shared this story because when my daughter, like I said, my daughter is 20 now,
Yeah.
but when she was like had to be like 6 or 7, she had a daddy daughter dance, and I wanted to take her to it, but I ended up having to work, and so I said, well, I'm gonna miss this one, but I'll get the next one. And she's 20 now, and there never was the next one. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
I miss that, and that's one of my biggest regrets. We've done other things during the years and all of that, and but that's one of the things that still kind of I still kind of carry with me.
Yeah.
And so I want this podcast to be a learning process for all dads, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so we don't always get it right.
We
You know what
don't.
I mean? And so from what I take from my regret is make sure that you take out that time that you have with your daughters. You know what I mean? Or just your kids in general, but definitely your daughters. Take out that time for that daddy daughter dance because you go to work every day, but that dance is only once in a lifetime. Take out the time to do that. So that's one of my regrets. So as a father, you're still early in the game with your daughters, but there's always some things that we
Yeah.
feel and we know that we can do better. So just as a father right now, what is one of your regrets that you have, or just something that you think you could do better as a dad?
I already had, man, when you said it, it was like, man, because I evaluate myself a lot. I feel like with my daughter, man, one thing I feel like I regret is because I didn't have a father growing up. So I always was too there. Like even my daughter, I mean, even my wife was telling me with my daughter, and I learned how not to do it with my last two. But I was too much there, and to this day, she's very needy of attention and needs me to always pay attention to her and play with her and always be around with her if she's playing. And that's because that's my fault because I would spend all day long with her because I was like, I had that abandoned issue. My daddy wasn't there. So I overbeared her with that. And so now she's getting higher in age and I'm trying to do more things. I'm getting more busier. Sometimes I can't play and she doesn't understand that. So that's one thing I do regret so far, to be honest.
Okay. Cool. All right, all right. So we gonna jump into our next segment of the podcast, which is called our getting to the core segment. So
Yeah,
our getting to the core is is a segment that I made where we talk about the ebook that I wrote, which is the Core Four, which is the
yeah.
core four values that every daughter should get from her father. And to my listeners, you definitely can get your copy of the Core Four at ebooksbyejames.com. That's ebooksbyejames.com to get your copy of the Core Four, which is the Core Four values that every daughter should get from her father, as well as our other ebooks. And so I sent you a copy of it. And so we just want to go over real quick. So the core four values are guidance, affirmation, love and protection, love and affection, and the last one is protection, right? And so I go over them again. Is guidance, it's affirmation, it's love and affection, and then the last one is protection. And so those are the four core values that I came up with. So if you had to choose from those four, which one is more important to you to instill in your daughters? Which one would that be?
Affirmation. Um, and I say that just because you can't always be there to protect her. Eventually, this flesh will be gone. Eventually, you're not gonna be there at a moment. You can't be there with her every day. Guidance. Um, you can sometimes lose guidance. A lot of us life a lot of times in life we move off to the next path. We bump a road or something, we guide to the next way, and we gotta guide back. It's a little bump. So guidance, is something I feel like, if I had to leave out, I'll leave. And what was the first one? Forgot that.
It was guidance. It was the first one. Affirmation, love and affection, and protection.
And love and affection, man. Love on, I don't know, man. I don't know. That's a hard one to say because I love my daughter. I don't want to be out here saying I don't love my
Right,
daughter.
right. No. So I know all four of them
Yeah,
is
yeah.
important,
I want to be out here
but
saying I
just
don't love my daughter.
personally, sometimes as us as fathers, excuse me, especially dealing with our own experiences of how we grew up. Like you said, you grew up without a father, and so
Yeah,
because of our experiences, we pour into our daughters a certain way. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And so that's why I understood when you said affirmation. You know
yeah.
what I mean? And even
It's the
though
affirmation.
you love your daughter, we know that you're definitely going to guide her. You're definitely going to
Yeah,
protect her. But that was one that's important to you. That affirmation to, like you said, you can't always be there. But if
yeah,
you instill those positive messages and that positive
mhm,
understanding of who she is herself,
yeah,
then she'll be okay when you're not
yeah,
around. So last question. So we talked about the core four, right? And
yeah.
that's the core four values that I came up with. But if it could be a fifth value that you can add that you think is important to you to instill in your daughter, what would that fifth one be?
Hmm. Uh, I will add. Hmm. I will add family, family culture, knowing who your family is. I say that's important because knowing who your family is and knowing your family culture represents who you are. You can know where your health can possibly be. You can know where you possibly can be in life because, believe it or not, a lot of your family members have the same outcomes in life. Probably look different in life, but it's the same similarities in small ways. So I would definitely add that one. Knowing who your family is, knowing who you are, knowing who your culture is.
All right. That's all good. That's all good. So, Ronnie, man, first of all, let me say thank you for being
Appreciate
on.
it.
Thank you for taking out your time to be on the podcast. I want you to have the last word, right? I want you to
Yeah.
leave us with a word of advice for our fathers or even some of our daughters that watch, because we have had start having daughters on to talk about their relationship with their fathers. So I want you to have the last word to tell us, just a word of advice for our fathers or daughters, however you feel, and give us the information where we can find you and how we can follow you. I give you a couple of seconds to think about that. To my listeners, thank you guys for tuning in again to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. Make sure that you guys are checking us out on our websites. Our dealhealfulfill.org is our main website, dealhealfulfill.org, where you will find out more about me as a person, as a speaker, as a podcaster, as an author. That's more stuff about me and what I have going on. And also make sure you're checking out our ebooks at ebooks.ejames.com. Again, that's where you can get your copy of the Core 4. Also, our product of the week that we talked about earlier, which is From Males to Men, which is our ebook. There's also some other ebooks there. So go to ebooks.ejames.com. I made it real simple. ebooks.ejames.com to get your ebooks. Also, one that I don't have on the screen is our Deal to Heal tees. That's Deal, the number 2, Heal tees.com, deal to heal tees.com, which is our inspirational t-shirt line. Put some inspiration in your situation, wear inspirational tee and be inspired all day, so you can get your inspirational tees there. Also, make sure that you guys subscribe to our text line. Just text the word subscribe to the number 866-326-0730. That's 866-326-0730 to receive text messages about new episodes, ebook releases, and event information. Also, last but not least, one of the things I've been blessed to be a part of is our organization called the forgivenessmission.com, or Forgiveness Mission. And one of the things that we do, we have free virtual workshops every quarter of the year where we talk about forgiveness, what it is, what it's not, forgiveness of self, forgiveness of others. And there's a free virtual workshop. Again, we have it every quarter. So whenever you're listening to this podcast, either one just passed or is one coming up. So you can go to forgivenessmission.com to find out when the next workshop is, or you can just go to Eventbrite and look up Forgiveness Mission Workshop and find it there in order to register. So make sure that you guys are checking that out. So last but not least, I told you guys at the beginning, I would tell you how you can win $100 from the podcast. You can win $100 from the podcast by entering our super subscriber contest. What you must do, you must subscribe to our YouTube page, to our Facebook page, and to our podcast on Spotify. After you've done those three things, text the word WIN, WIN, to the number 866-326-0730 to qualify to win $100. The contest is ongoing and it's open. So once you get in, you can always win. It's a random. I can pull a name at any day on any time, and you could be our next $100 super subscriber winner just by subscribing to our podcast, which is something you do already. You watching already, right? You listening already. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button and get a chance to win $100. So that being said, again, Mr. Roni Tehran, I definitely appreciate you being on. Definitely appreciate you sharing your story and your love for your daughters on this podcast. And again, you could have been doing anything else, but you took out time to be here. We definitely appreciate it. I want you to have the last word, so the floor is yours.
All right, man. All I can say is this is I can't speak for fathers who are already been long existing fathers. This, like I said, I'm only there for the first 5 years. It's only I only been here 5 years for being a father. So I could say this though, if it's those first years is where I'm at, please educate them. Even if they do go to school, educate them so they can know who they are, so they can know where to go, so they can know how actually life flow. Everybody knows that school doesn't teach everything. School doesn't teach you how to live life. So you have to make sure you're teaching your daughter how to live life and how to sustain out here as a woman, as to your best abilities. And then, excuse me, then man, you can follow me at The Original People, Top Tag, Apparel on Instagram. You can follow me at Roni Schumper on Facebook. Then I have Legion Lineage Podcast on YouTube. And you can check out our latest gear at toptagapparel.com. Like I said, we are The Original People, fashion brand representing melanated people around the world, unite melanated cultures across the globe. And I got a podcast once again called Leads and Lineage Podcast, can found on YouTube, and we represent, and we are the #1 podcast for individuals who seeking to end generational dysfunction. And be a father, man. Be the greatest father you can be.
All right. We can't end it no better than that. To my listeners, thank you guys once again for tuning in to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast. Yeah. Make sure you're out here showing love to all of your children, but especially if you're a dad, take out time with your daughters to lead them and guide them and show them love in the right way. Until next time, next podcast, you guys be blessed. We'll see you later. Thanks for listening to the Girl Dad Discussions podcast with E. James. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and subscribe to our podcast on all your podcast listening platforms. Also, don't keep it to yourself, but share it with someone else that the Girl Dad Discussions podcast is on the air. Until next time, be blessed.